La serait de 35 minutes environ. Maintenant,
Tahiti in May, where the water's as blue as the sky and Mother Nature makes sure you know she's the one in charge. We set off for a week of adventure, soaking in the beauty and embracing a few humbling reality checks from the wild side of paradise. Because as stunning as Tahiti is, trust me, she's got a wild streak. For those unfamiliar, Tahiti sits in the heart of the South Pacific, part of French Polynesia, a collection of islands that look like someone painted paradise. We were headed for the islands of Raiatea, Taha'a, and Bora Bora, each more beautiful and remote than the last. Raiatea is often called the Sacred Island and is a hub for sailing. Taha'a, just a stone's throw away, is famous for its vanilla plantations. And then there's Bora Bora, basically the supermodel of islands with its turquoise lagoons and jaw-dropping Mount Otomanu. Together, these islands are a playground for sailors, snorkelers, and anyone who loves nature at her finest and fiercest. Day one flight, 2 plane meals, and 3 naps later, we touched down in Tahiti.
we thank you for choosing Air Tahiti and we wish you a very bon voyage, Marjojo.
We spent the night in a hotel before an early morning flight to Raiatea. The excitement was real. Paradise awaited.
Mesdames et messieurs, bonjour. Vous êtes sur le vol 777 à destination de Tahiti. Je vous demanderai de bien
Day 2.
votre cachet blanc.
We arrived in Raiatea and kicked things off with a cruise briefing for the 44-foot monohull we were renting and then provisioning at the local market. They covered all the usual sailing hazards. And then Reese got a little side briefing about surfing. Apparently, surfing in Raiatea is less of a sport and more of an extreme survival challenge. To sum it up, the reef is right there, just below the surface, waiting for anyone brave or crazy enough to attempt riding those waves. The swell, massive, the risk, even bigger. And if you wipe out, good luck avoiding the sharp coral waiting to greet you. The tour operator didn't hold back.
Surfing will be only here, nowhere else, on Raiatea. I'm sorry about that.
Yeah.
Bora Bora, there is no way for you. It will be very shallow and it's not the right swell directions.
That's okay.
And Taha'a, forget it. it closed.
Okay. The left I heard is onto the reef more.
Everywhere, sir. It's onto the reef.
How deep is it when it hits the reef? Pretty shallow?
Yes, everywhere, sir.
Everywhere?
Oh my God, there is no way for you to escape.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
So you gotta be pretty good. I don't know if I'm that good.
Aye, sir. I'm not sure that would be a great idea for you to start with then.
Okay.
Otherwise, I will have to find maybe a skipper to keep going with you if you crash on the reef.
Just as Reese was getting intrigued, the guy took off his shirt to reveal his battle scars, literal proof of why those breaks should be left to the locals.
I have scars everywhere. Even if I know my spot, there are sometimes there is no other choice, you will hit it. It's maybe shallow like this, it could be shallow like that.
Okay.
When it's big, you have it breaks far from the reef, but you have this, but it's big. When it is too small, for sure you have to it will break close to the reef, so it is shallow. And here the waves are so strong.
Mm-hmm.
You have huge barrel with big lips like this. There is no way to escape.
Uh-huh.
That's what I do. Bodyboard. I still hit the reef anyway. Also here on my face, but there is no scar anymore. I protect it from the sun to not have scars, but everywhere else I do not take care.
I'll think about it.
It's your life.
If I were you, look at the spot first before you go. If you go sometimes straight, it sucks so much, you will come back.
Maybe not on the first night of the holidays.
Yeah. I mean, I'm used to surfing in Australia on sandy beaches.
Yes, sand, it's okay. Can you
different.
imagine that strength of the
No,
wave,
I
but it
can't.
will be on the reef.
Yep.
When I take off too late, I went straight and hit breath.
Yeah.
I don't want you to start the charter with wounds and you will not be able to snorkel anymore.
Yeah.
But you can have a look
I'll have a look. Yeah.
and see if you can handle the waves or not.
Yeah.
Needless to say, we decided to stick with snorkeling and left the surfing to the crazy locals. Sometimes it's best to listen when Mother Nature gives you a very clear "do not enter" sign. We provisioned in a really well-stocked market. It had everything we thought we might need for a week on the sea. By noon, we set sail. First stop, Taha. We anchored near a vanilla plantation, planning to snorkel, but the ocean wasn't cooperating. The swell was so strong, the fish must have been hiding in their own little underwater safe rooms. So we grabbed the dinghy and explored a nearby uninhabited island instead, where crabs ruled the land. Reese, always the grill master, cooked up a stellar BBQ that night. Not a bad start to the week. Day 3. We sailed around the northern side of Taha, aiming for a pearl farm, only to find it closed. Note to self, Sunday in French Polynesia means everything is shut. But no worries. We grabbed a mooring ball for the night and kicked off what's now my favourite hobby, drift snorkeling. Let me tell you, it's like snorkeling with a lazy river twist. We tied the dinghy to a tree on Motu Tau Tau, walked to the other side, and let the current whisk us over the coral gardens. The first time, I scraped the coral more than I'd like to admit, but by round 2, I had it down. Butterfly fish, parrotfish, trumpet fish. So many fish. No fishing for us though. Reef fish here can carry ciguatera, a neurotoxin that we're in no rush to experience. Turns out the rum distillery was also closed. Oops. So we found a random tapas and cocktail bar on the water instead. The day ended with us meeting a couple from New Caledonia whose English was better than our French, who were blissfully unaware they were flying home to political unrest the next day. Sometimes ignorance really is bliss. Day 4. Taha to Bora Bora. Sailing into Bora Bora's lagoon is like Mother Nature giving you a pop quiz. Massive swells, narrow reefs, and unpredictable tides. But we made it. We docked at Via Tape to grab gas and some extra provisions. Local musicians jammed and the vibe was very chill. Later, we enjoyed fresh prawns and baguettes as the sun set. The prawns reminded us of home, of Aussie summers, and the baguettes. Perfection. The French seriously know their bread. Legit. Day 5. After a morning jump into the ocean off the back deck of the boat, we were on a mission to find rays and reef sharks. But as usual, Mother Nature had her own plans. The water was murky and the sharks were definitely on my mind. Just when we were ready to call it a day, Reese spotted a local tour boat. A quick conversation later and they invited us to join them. Blacktip reef sharks and stingrays galore. The local warned us not to pat the sharks because, they bite. Fair enough. I did get to pat a pregnant stingray and it was such an awe-inspiring experience that all I could say was beautiful over and over. Clearly, I need to expand my vocabulary.
Oh my goodness! Oh, is she? Oh wow! They're beautiful. Oh wow! Hello, hello, beautiful. Aren't you beautiful?
We spent the night anchored on the east side of Bora Bora, surrounded by untouched beauty. It felt like we were in another world, remote and wild, just like the Whitsundays. Day 6. The morning began with another snorkeling session. Though the current was so strong, it felt like we were headed straight for New Zealand. The underwater scene was quiet, but it was a great workout. On the way back, we spotted a school of eagle rays, though they weren't feeling too social. Later, we parked the dinghy at a fancy resort with overwater bungalows, wandered around like we belonged, and no one blinked. Winning. We wrapped up the day at Matira Beach with a couple of beers. Day 7. Leaving Bora Bora was bittersweet. The seas were wild. 3-metre waves and 35-knot gusts, and I spent most of the passage hanging on for dear life while Reese worked his sailing magic. We found some calm and squeezed in one last drift snorkel before heading back to Raiatea. That evening, we anchored near Fish and Blue, the famous Insta-worthy restaurant. The hype? Totally justified. Day 8. It was time to pack up, return the boat, and jump on a plane back to reality. Tahiti, with all its beauty and wildness, was one for the books. When can we go back? As Mark Twain wisely said, 20 years from now you will be more disappointed by the things you didn't do than by the ones you did. And really, wouldn't you rather be in Tahiti, riding the waves or avoiding them, drift snorkeling and soaking up the wild beauty?